This is not a build guide, this is just theory crafting. I'm trying to push ward as high as possible, and the budget is like 10 mirrors or something. The main mechanics are Yender's stand for the 60% armor and evasion rating from equipped body armor. Then we have a body armor. Somebody said the highest possible armor we can get with the new bases is 6,524. I am from the future, and most of the footage of this video is from before the league start. And now that we are in the league, the current highest total amount of armor and evasion on the body armor is above 8.1k. Especially with this body armor, we can reach 64,400 ward. And I use a Faith Guard runic helmet for the increases and reduction to maximum energy shield instead applied to ward, and faster restoration of ward is a nice bonus and goes up to 60%. The gloves are triple T1 ward with corruption for maximum energy shield. On the boots, they are also triple T1 ward. Then Eyes of the Great Wolf, mainly for the 50% increased global defenses. You can theoretically use a catalyst too for 20% increased defenses, so that's another 10% global defenses. A ring with 18% increased maximum energy shield. It's on a Crusader ring with 20% increased defenses for 18% maximum energy shield, and a calendar stretch to reflect the other ring, but this ring should be really cheap. Ephemeral Edge, because it has 50% increased maximum energy shield. We dual wield it. Then we have an Iron Flask with increased effect and increased ward during effect, gives us 4,000 ward. Then we have a Tincture for increased flask effect by the Tincture Mastery. Flask adjacent to applied Tincture have 10% increased effect when used. That would buff the ward a little bit more, but we don't have that yet. And then we want to remove the Olroths from the Tincture so it doesn't get buffed, because if this one gets buffed, it increases the amount of less ward we have during the effect and less total ward. Then we have a bunch of one passive voices with smaller clusters with 35% increased effect, and conservation of energy for the 10% maximum energy shield, and the small passives have 9% increased maximum energy shield. We have some kobolds for maximum energy shield and maximum life, and that will achieve the max ward right now. In general, the corruptions with maximum energy shield are best in slot. Then the next part is I try to push the Flask uptime. Right now it has 11% average uptime and 5% minimum uptime. Then we go to the next tree. We have one uncut version and a cut version. Then we have like 35,000 ward, 45k max hit. And this tree, it has way too many passives, but we tried to push the Olroths Resolve, so it's permanent uptime. And here we have Flask uptime 100% on average and 8% minimum if you remove the Tincture. But if you have the Tincture, it's 65% minimum uptime and 100 on average. And it's mainly achieved by the Traitor Keystone for the fact Flask gained 4 charges per empty Flask slot, and we could remove way more of the passives and save some points. Example here, remove that, and then we still have a 71% uptime. But if you want to run the Tincture, then you gain down to 57%, but still a 100% average, which should be good enough. Then if you check the box, and then we have permanent 5,000 ward, basically infinite health pool, but a 10k maximum hit only. Otherwise we have a 44k hit, but we have endurance charges checked. And if you check sand stance, then we have 54k. I forgot this in all of the other configurations, so it's way higher than what I'm showing you soon. And then a viewer mentioned that we should try Civilin Girded Colossal Tower Shield. It has ward and maximum chance to block attack damage, and chance to block is lucky, and spell block. To minus 10% maximum chance to block attack and spell damage, and it's either bug or it's giga broken. And I show you the tree. If you would assume we had enough points to fix the passives to get the block chance, and if you get the remaining block chance to push it to the cap, then we see we have 90% block chance. And if you check how much we have with an Aegis Aurora, we only have 78%, because that's the block cap. At 75 is the usual cap, and 3% for the passives. But with this, I think it's a wording problem. I expected it to be like from 75% chance to block attacks and spells, you go down to 65%, and then you are lucky, like versatile combatant. But if it's like this, you go down from 10% of maximum as if it would be 100%, and then goes down to 90, and then you're also still lucky. I have versatile combatant for the minus max block chance and the overcapped block chance conversion, and if I equip the shield, I go down to the 58 and 55%. And in the PoE, it just calculated the lucky block chance from 65 and it went to 90%. Then for the defenses, we have Enduring Cry up with Urgent Orders. Then for Immortal Call, if we enable it and Olroth gets disabled, then we have 150k max hit and 55k without the Immortal Call up. And the notes, the max ward is 45k. With mirror-worthy items, we have 60k physical max hit in this version. Then with the Enduring Cry up, we gain up to 71k. With Immortal Call up, we gain up to 200k max fizz. And if you push the Olroths, we gain an average uptime of 100% and a minimum uptime from 65 to 80% and 35k ward. And we can gain like 5k perma ward with the Olroths Flask up. And this scenario with spell block cap, we have a really low total life pool. And this is not a build guide, this is just theory crafting. So it's okay if I have 150 passives and I can just reduce it to the best possible options. For example, could like anoint all of the stuff that's important and skip some other stuff that's unimportant, like skipping a cluster. It's just to find out what's the min-max and then reduce it to make it a viable build. But the next part I should push is damage, and that's why in the first video I recommended the nightgrip, because then we get a juicy 3000 flat chaos damage added, but it reduces our defenses by a lot. So if it's a glass cannon build, maybe that's one of the new boss killers, because we get a huge damage taken bypasses ward and we only have 2000 life, so we instantly get killed as if we have only like 500 ward instead of 30,000. For the gloves, you gain added chaos damage equal to 10% of your ward, and with the really pushed build we gain up to 64,000 ward, which means we gain flat 6,400 chaos damage without the range, just flat 6,400 to 6,400. And if you compare it to the replica, alberons warpath, it adds 1 to 80 chaos damage to attacks per 80 strength. So it rolls from 1 to 80, which is 40.5 on average. And the highest strength build we have in the PoE is like with 3,100 strength. If you look here, and especially the attributes part, 2,800, 2,600, 2,500, 2.7, 2.5, 3.1 maximum push, 2.8, 2.4, 2.7. And if you compare it, the nightgrip, we have 6,400 to 6,400 flat chaos damage. And with the boots, here's the calculation with the highest strength stacker I saw in the sorted by damage. With replicas is 3,100, you divide it by 80, then you have 39 generously rounded. And then the 1 to 80 scaling divided by 2, because you don't always hit the highest end unless you have like volatility and lucky stuff. Then you have 40.5. This would give you an average of 1,600 flat chaos damage. And in case where you would always roll the maximum, the 80 flat chaos damage, then we would have 3,120, which is still half of the damage we were getting for the gloves. But you have to consider, if you equip nightgrip gloves, you lower your defenses by a lot and you don't scale your defenses like with the strength stacker, which gets a lot of flat life. And you also miss out on the secondary and tertiary scaling that strength stackers usually get, like from the Crown of Ice, which converts your spell damage to attack damage. Then the strength, which applies to melee damage, spell damage from Iron Will, and the Iron Fortress, which buffs the damage scaling for melee again. So you miss a lot of scaling, but for the flat, nothing can beat the gloves. And if you would use the Olroths, you gain like 5,000 ward instead of the 64k, but you have permanent 5k health, and you only die if you get hit for above that. And it would give you a flat 500 chaos damage, which is only like 1/6 of a min-maxed replica warpath build. And then there are some versions with the Balbalas Brutal Restraint Timeless Jewel, where you can gain a lot of flask charges. Like here, all of the highlights are affecting the flasks, especially the trader. Then we have like 7 times 10% increased flask charges gained, and 1 time chance to gain Alchemist's Genius when you use a flask. And if you look here, this one is even better, but it's in a bad spot, the Duelist, where we have 70% increased flask charges gained and 50% Alchemist Genius. And they aren't too bad if you're in the Duelist area. And the Timeless Jewels cost like 1, 2, 3 divines for now. In the next video, I'm trying to maximize damage with some theory crafting. And if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. so you don't miss out. Thanks for subscribing and watching, and until next time. Also, if you have some ideas on how to maximize stuff, feel free to comment. I'm trying to answer all of the comments. Bye!